Hi, it's Joy Olson of Blockbuster Fundraising. I've got a question for you. Do you think that you are investing your time and effort right in your fundraising efforts? Well, let's take a look, because I'm sure you're all aware in the last couple of days, the Giving USA report 2017 is out. And what this does is sums up all the philanthropy giving of 2016 so that we can see what has happened. Because what has happened oftentimes predicts what's going to happen. So I have Jay Love's Bloomberg report, and he says, fundraisers, if you want to really do yourself a favor, take these next 6 months, the last half of 2017, take 80% of your time and focus it on building relationships, because 72% of all nonprofit giving is given by your individual donors. And I thought, I just so agree with this. And this took me back to last September, and I had put together a Facebook Live just on building relationships. And what prompted that September Facebook Live were two events. My daughter-in-law, who is a leading Mary Kay director really in the world, had done her first Facebook Live. And I mean, within hours, she had like 7,000 views. I said, Pamela, her name's Pamela Waldrop-Shaw, Pamela, this is amazing. And she said to me, Joy, I have worked so hard for 30 years developing relationships. And I thought to myself, she's absolutely right. She has been so disciplined about building wonderful relationships. And then that same weekend, Arnold Palmer died. And I am still a huge Arnold Palmer fan, such an admirer of the relationships that he built with his fans. He never took them for granted. He took special care with those relationships, very disciplined about it. And I thought to myself, you know, success is really built on taking the time, the discipline, the effort to build wonderful relationships. It's all about relationships. So I'm repurposing that Facebook Live video from September because I had I'd worked hard putting together tips and steps for relationship building success. So let's take a look. Joy Olson of Blockbuster Fundraising. I've been a fundraiser now for almost 21 years, and I've been a good fundraiser. Had lots of turnaround situations and have achieved some near impossible feats, if she says so herself. The one thing that I have always realized about fundraising is that it is all about relationships. And if you don't build good relationships, you really are not going to be a good fundraiser. You're probably not going to be a good business person. Let's look at what it takes to build good relationships. And I thought I would look at 3 different levels. I gathered research and information from 3 different types of 3 different types of building relationships. And so let's look at those. One is, how do you build a strong business relationship? Secondly, how do you build good work relationships? Because that's very important too. And thirdly, for someone like myself that's been in fundraising, or someone that's in networking and building clients, how do you build lasting supporter-client relationships? So let's look at business relationships first, because we can learn a lot from this particular list. And I gathered this information from a business author. Her name is Deborah Shane. And she says the very first thing you can do if you want to build a strong business relationship is be authentic. Be who you are. And secondly, seek out the same values in other people that you want to do business with. And I think that if you are authentic and you give a good sense of yourself, you develop a sense of people that have the same values and have the same goals, which is going to make a good business relationship really possible. You want to build mutual respect. And you know what? This takes time, she points out. You have to be patient. You have to be selective. And that is something we can all work on. Share some vulnerability. I thought this was really an important point, and one that I personally can relate to. Some years ago, I had a gentleman friend tell me, he said, you know, Joy, it's a little hard to relate to someone and tell them certain things if they never share any vulnerable situations with you. And I thought to myself, I think he's exactly right. You do have to, if you want to develop a good relationship, you do have to share some vulnerability. You certainly don't have to share every life problem you have, but you can share enough that you relate and have empathy for the person that you are building a relationship with. You certainly want to show loyalty. Hey, I've got your back. And you want to schedule brainstorming time. Don't you love this when you have business relationships and you can sit down and you have enough confidence in the people you're with and enough confidence in yourself to just bat some ideas around. They don't have to be proven theories or hypotheses. They can just be fun ideas to talk about and brainstorm. You really want to accept people for what they are. You want to help them with their networking, maybe share connections, certainly in business. And you really want to build trust. And this, Deborah Shane points out, is something that happened like in 2010 that came up, is that serving is the new selling. So you want to definitely offer something before you ask for something. So those are the business relationship tips. So now let's take a look at what it takes to build a good relationship in the office, in the work. And I think that is something that we all strive to do because it's important. And you know why? Why do you want to have a good work relationship? Well, certainly you're going to be a lot happier and a lot more productive, and work's going to be more enjoyable. You're going to be able to be more innovative and creative, that's for sure. And then you can really help develop your own career when you are happier and productive and creative. We all want to work in a happy workplace, and there's always going to be probably someone that is a little bit difficult to get along with, but you know, figure out workarounds there, because you don't want to let the problems take over the opportunities. So if you have someone you don't get along with too well, and that happens to all of us, you know, try your best and then do a workaround. Try to avoid it, because if you don't, you're going to find you're concentrating too much on the negatives rather than all the wonderful opportunities. So what is a good working relationship? And I think I have a slide on that. And well, I think I'll wait a few minutes. My slide goes forward. Let's talk about what is a good working relationship. Well, number one, it's one where you have mutual respect. And secondly, all of this is from Mind Tools Limited, by the way. And they say that number one, you've got a good work relationship. Number one, you've got to have mutual respect. Number two, you've got to have mindfulness. I thought this was really interesting. And in other words, you've got to be willing to take responsibility for your words and deeds. If you're in a bad mood that day, you've got to be mindful of that. You can't just say and do whatever you feel like at the moment. You have to be mindful, take responsibility for your words and your actions. You have to welcome diversity. You know, lots of times we only welcome people that agree with us, think like we do, want to do exactly the same thing. that's not really the road to success. We can all learn a lot from one another. So welcome diversity and always have open communication. You know, in this day and age, open communication, I mean, it's all about emails, instant messaging. It's incredible how much we communicate. And Messenger, we communicate all over the place. So you want to have open, truthful communication because it counts a lot. Okay, so let's talk about good work relationships, okay? What can you do to make your relationships better? Work on your people skills. And you know, you can go to YouTube, you can take webinars, you can go to TED Talks, you can go to the bookstore. There are so many good books out there on developing people skills, and it's definitely something that's worthwhile. Appreciate others. Walk a mile in their shoes. Try to really be grateful for their talents and what they're doing for you. And you want to schedule time for people. And you know, I have to remember that personally. I have to remember that I'm a workaholic, and I think I work, I'll get this done, I'll get that done. And all of a sudden the end of the week has come, and I think, Joy, you got to schedule time for other people. You can't always be working. That just doesn't work for good relationships. And we're talking about relationships today, not how much can you get done by yourself, but building some good relationships. You want to be positive for sure. How much fun is it to be around somebody that's always positive? You know, when you look back, I think about Pamela, all the great relationships she has. She is so positive all the time. If you read her blog or any of her works, positive, positive, positive. Arnie was always positive. You look at people that you think are brilliant people at relationship building, and I'll bet you they are all positive. They all listen, and that's what you can do is listen actively. And I'm talking to myself right now because, as you can see, I'm a pretty good talker, but I've got to learn to listen actively, and maybe you do too. Do not gossip. You know, personally, I always find it kind of fun to be with somebody that tells me a little bit of gossip, and actually I enjoy it as long as it's not terrible. But then in the back of my mind I think, Joy, if they're gossiping about this person, you're going to be next on their list. And nobody really likes to have the reputation as a gossiper. So do not gossip if you're working on building good relationships. And you want to manage boundaries. I thought that this was really interesting because sometimes I think that that's very important. You don't want to be so friendly or get so over involved in someone's life that the boundaries aren't there anymore. I find that in development too. Sometimes if I have a senior donor that they don't have family nearby, and I get so concerned with them, overwhelmingly concerned, and I have to remember, you've got to manage your boundaries. You get too concerned with somebody, especially like a senior citizen, and you know, they may think that you're after something. So managing boundaries in relationships, it is important. It's there. It's something to think about. All right, so should we talk about supporters and clients? How do you build lasting, wonderful relationships with your supporters or your clients? And I suspect that Pamela's got some really, I know she has lasting relationships that are wonderful, and she could probably come and give us all kinds of tips here. And actually, I wish she would. It'd be fun to interview her on relationships. But right now, let's take a look at some of the attributes, and this is from FreshBooks. This is what their ideas on what a great lasting relationship, what it takes to build one. So let's look at their list and discuss it, and here we go. Okay, learn about your clients. And this is so important. And in development, we communicate, and mostly we listen. And we listen and we care. The only way that you can really like somebody is if you've listened enough and you've developed empathy. You know what they're like. You know what their hopes and dreams are. You know enough about them to really care about them, and that helps build a lasting relationship. So work on that. And then in the development business, you listen and you learn and you take notes too, because it really makes somebody, I think, feel really terrible if you've taken the time to talk to them, they've taken the time to really relate to you, and then the next time you see them, you've forgotten everything about your former conversation. And you think, well, they're just phony baloney. They didn't care enough to even remember or listen. So take notes when you're working with a lot of clients so you can refer to those notes. Always give a clear outline of your project or what you're doing. I think that people really appreciate clear objectives, a clear timeline, so that they feel like you're exactly on the same page. It's probably more important now than ever when people talk about transparency. Communicate openly, communicate regularly, communicate effectively. And this is going to take making yourself available too. I also think in development we can add the more you know about your clients, your donors, the more you know about which form of communication that they use and appreciate and will respond to, that makes it much more efficient. So that's part of learning about your client. Know how they want to communicate and communicate with them regularly. Meet your deadlines. This is something that's so important, because if you tell somebody you're going to do something, do it, or they will lose trust and they won't believe in you. I think that this is extremely important. Even if you tell, if you have like a senior citizen, a donor, and you say, I'm going to call you next week, call them. Because for all you know, that's going to be the only phone call they get next week. Meet your deadlines, because that is the road to respect and trust. Be honest and be yourself. Those are two very important assets that anybody that's building wonderful relationships certainly has. And I have just enjoyed being here with you today. I hope that you've garnered some relationship tips from these 3 different areas that will possibly make a difference to you and to what you're doing and to your success and to your happiness. I know that relationships are an important part of all of our lives, and I think that there are a lot of tips here that you can extrapolate down to family relationships too. At least when I was going through these 3 different lists and the attributes and the qualities, I thought, I could do a lot more of that at home too. So it's wonderful to be able to always try to get a little bit better. I wanted to tell you that here's a wonderful link that Jeff Hayden wrote, 9 Habits of People Who Build Extraordinary Relationships, and I'm going to put that at in the description so you can have that. And hey, thank you. I hope to see you again soon. Find out more about blockbusterfundraising.com. You see our website there. We are active on Facebook. We try to present to you all of the best thought leaders in fundraising today, their blogs, their ideas. We go from traditional best practices to brand new creative ideas. We're your cheerleader. Thank you for having been here. Invest in yourself. Invest in the time. Learn a bit. Learn a little bit every single day. And you can do that at joyolsongroup.com, blockbusterfundraising.com, and at our YouTube channel. We have hundreds of free fundraising tips, and we have our summer learning series. So learn, get better and better every single day. Be the very best fundraiser. Be a blockbuster fundraiser. Bye-bye. Thank you.